Welcome, Marshall community. We're back here again with Glenn Bader, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Information Technology from Ralco. And we'd like to update the community on our branding project, which we started almost a year ago now. And last time we heard from Glenn, we were actually starting the project. So maybe to kind of go back a little bit and refresh our memories, what is branding?
So branding is actually really important, and especially for a community, and for Marshall in particular. There are so many people that love being here, but they lack the words to describe what they love about us. And so branding really captures that into, what is the one thing that we do better than anybody else?
The city pursued branding with an outside marketing firm to do our branding project. Why was that important to the branding project?
Well, it's important to work with somebody who actually knows what they're doing in this space, because we've seen a lot of examples, of bad brands. And so, a brand that works well really needs to understand its customer. So in the case of Marshall, we really need to understand the people and why they love being here and what's important to them. But most importantly, a brand connects emotionally. And so working with a group that really understands that process of how to use imagery and colors and logos and voice to communicate that was really important.
This company, North Star, as part of the brand research, did a lot of one-on-one interviews and community surveys. What did we find out from their research?
So the research was actually really helpful. We heard both good and bad. On the bad side, we did hear, like we mentioned, that we really lack an identity. People love being here, but they really couldn't say what is that one thing that makes Marshall better than anyone else. And on the positive side, they talked a lot about the institutions that we have, whether it's the college or the businesses, just all the opportunities. But also there was a lot of things that came out in terms of just quality of life. It's such a great place to live, great place to raise a family, safe. You can be away from the craziness of the city, but still have access to what you need. But neither of those really can be your one thing. If you think about what do we own as a community better than anyone else, neither of those were it. The big thing for us that stood out, different than all other communities, was the way that we invest in one another. That this drive to kind of always make things better and always get better outcomes really defined Marshall different from other communities.
How did that inform the building of the brand?
It was very important, because if you think about why do people make a community their home, it's not just because of a job, or it's not just because of amenities. We go and we belong somewhere, first of all, because of connection. We want to be part of something. We also want to have opportunity to grow, to kind of be in a better spot than where you are today. We also identified in there of just the importance of people wanting their families to thrive. And then the last area was people want to make an impact. So if you think about kind of those four threads of connection and impact and family and opportunity, those are the things that really stood out in the research where Marshall does a great job. And so all of that got boiled down into this idea of cultivating the best in us. So always working to get a better outcome, for the community, for your family, for your business. That was the thing that to the researchers and to North Star doing this, that was really unique in Marshall.
Why is this brand not just about the logo and tagline?
Well, that's a great question. It's actually a really big misconception people have when you think about branding. But again, like I said, brands are emotional, right? So if you think about this idea of cultivating the best in us in Marshall, right? How does that happen, right? That doesn't happen through the government, through the city, right? That happens through people. So if you think about just kind of your slice of the community, the groups you're involved in, whether that's your work or your church or family or organizations you're part of, right? We all have different people in our lives. And when I think back about the people that have invested in me, right, that saw something bigger in me than I saw myself, or invested in our kids, or, different things, there have been so many people that have really brought out the best in me and my family. And that's the spirit of Marshall, right? And so how we tell that story, right, we got to tell it through people, right? It's through stories of all the people that have impacted us, all the, and a lot of times those are hard things. Somebody investing in you doesn't mean that that's easy. Sometimes they're saying hard things to you or challenging or pushing you. And so we've all got great stories, and that's what we need to bring to life through the branding.
And that helps this brand really become a community brand, not just a city brand.
So this logo is not just for city employees to wear, right? We want this to be a sign of pride for all of us. So something that businesses will incorporate, and just every organization in the community can embrace, and we can even wear, as residents.
As we go along on our branding launch, what will the community see in the upcoming months?
So we're going to see it in many places around the community. There's been a lot of great support for this already. So for example, we're going to see it on signs around the city. We're going to see it vehicles. There's a new community transit bus that's wrapped in it. The library is on board, so you're going to start seeing things there. Brow Brothers is actually committed to doing a Marshall branded beer that's coming up in support of it. The Chamber's on board, the EDA. So there's many areas that you're going to start seeing this brand quickly. And I think one of the more exciting ones is on social media. So there's a number of videos that we're releasing that really tell the stories of people, and how people in Marshall have cultivated the best in them. And so as part of that, we're actually going to give away a lot of really cool apparel as well. So as people share these stories, it's going to give them a chance to have some of this apparel.
That sounds like an exciting launch for the community of Marshall with this new brand. Thank you, Glenn, for joining us and providing an update on the branding project for the Marshall community.
You bet. Glad to be part of it.